We all know that there are several wars in which our country and other countries are involved. They use certain vehicles for wars and military purposes, which are helpful in many ways. Welcome back to the military future. This video is all about these secret military micro-tanks which nobody knows about. In today's video, we are going to see the list of the top 8 such military vehicles. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Before getting into the video, subscribe to our channel for more exciting topics. The first vehicle is 20mm autocannon. Popular autocannon ammo comes in a particular caliber known as 20mm. It is often used to distinguish between larger caliber cannons and smaller caliber weaponry, commonly referred to as guns like machine gun versus autocannon. The outside projectile or bullet and barrel bore diameter of all 20mm cartridges are 0.787 inches or 20 millimeters. The cartridge cases for these projectiles are typically 75 to 152 millimeters or 3 to 5 inches long, most of which are shells with an explosive payload and detonating fuse. This caliber is used by various weapons, including anti-material rifles, anti-tank rifles, aircraft cannons, and anti-aircraft guns. The cartridge type indicates the projectile's diameter and length. For instance, 20,102 millimeters refers to a 20mm projectile in a 102mm long case. Since two designers rarely use the same case length, this determination is typically final. 2. Rheinmetall Weasel 1. The Weasel Armored Weapons Carrier, or AWC, manufactured by Rheinmetall, is a light, air-transportable battle vehicle that's only minimally armored. The only true modern tankette in Western Europe is remarkably close to historical scouting tankettes in size, form, and function. Deliveries of the Weasel, a new weapon system for the Bundeswehr, started in the late 1980s. Due to the vehicle's small size and agility, which makes it challenging to see on the battlefield, it was given the moniker Weasel, short for Weasel. Weasel 1's production ceased in 1993. Of the 343 Weasel 1 vehicles, 210 had the dual-feed Rheinmetall Mk20 RH202 20mm autocannon mounted on the one-person hookah turret E62A1, and 133 had the Raytheon TOW wire-guided anti-tank guided missile system. Both versions were sent to Somalia by Germany in 1993 as part of the UN forces' engagement in the Somali Civil War. A number of other nations, including Greece, Indonesia, Malaysia, Norway, Singapore, Thailand, the United Arab Emirates, the United Kingdom, and the USA, have also tested and used the Weasel 1. 3. Weasel 2. The Weasel 2 is an expanded and more extended version of the Weasel 1, including an engine with higher power and 5 road wheels instead of 4. The Bundeswehr purchased 178 new vehicles in various configurations, including ambulance, air defense, radar and anti-aircraft missile launcher, 120mm mortar carriage, command and fire control, and variations. In 2001, the Weasel 2 went into operation. The larger Weasel 2 is roughly 4.78 meters long, 2.17 meters high depending on the type, and 1.87 meters broad. It has approximately twice as much interior volume as its predecessor. Its heaviest version weighs roughly 4.78 metric tons, which is 5.27 short tons. A new 1.9-liter Volkswagen inline 4-cylinder turbo diesel engine with direct injection and an intercooler was installed. It produces 109 horsepower or 81 kW and is mated to a ZF automatic transmission. The Weasel 2 has improved crew safety measures such as armor, an air conditioning system, and NBC shielding. It is generally bigger, faster, and stronger than the Weasel 1. 4. Tankettes. A tankette is a tracked armored fighting vehicle that's about the size of a car and resembles a small tank. It is mainly used for scouting and light infantry support. Several nations produced tankettes between the 1920s and the 1940s, some of which saw limited action in the early days of World War II. But gradually, armies abandoned the idea due to the weakness of their light armor, with notable outliers like the more contemporary German Weasel series. Tankettes came in 2- and 3-person variations. Some had to have the occupant lie on their back. Some versions had no turrets with track mobility, which is frequently considered to define the notion. Or they had very basic turrets that could only be moved by the user's hand or leg. They lacked a tank gun and were considerably smaller than light tanks. Instead, they were typically armed with 1 or 2 machine guns, or, on rare occasions, a 20mm autocannon or grenade launcher. 5. Themis. Milrem Robotics in Estonia manufactures Themis, or Tracked Hybrid Modular Infantry System, an uncrewed ground vehicle or UGV with a ground-based armed drone vehicle primarily intended for military uses. The car is designed to support dismounted forces by using it as a transit platform, remote weapon station, IED detection and disposal unit. The vehicle may perform multiple missions because of its open architecture. The Themis transport's primary function is to support on-base logistics and deliver last-mile replenishment for combat units at the front line. By lessening the strain on their bodies and minds, boosting standoff distance, force protection, and survival, it aids infantry forces. The Themis ISR UGVs can acquire intelligence using a variety of sophisticated sensors. Their primary improved situational awareness, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance capabilities across large regions and battle damage assessment capabilities. The system can efficiently enhance the job of border guards, law enforcement, and dismounted army units to gather and process raw information and shorten commander reaction times. We have many gadgets for military purposes, but there are certain micro-tanks which are not that known to the world. Let's keep watching the next one and make sure that you have subscribed to our channel so that you don't miss any videos. 6. The Badger. Unquestionably the smallest passenger tank on Earth, the Badger holds the Guinness Book of World Records. It has one person and an all-terrain vehicle that can scale walls and other fortified structures. Light tanks were developed for fast movements inside and outside combat to outmaneuver more giant tanks. Its smaller size, thinner armor, and weaker main gun make it possible to have greater tactical mobility, ease of logistics, and transport. In 2010, the first prototype of the Badger vehicle was delivered to the Arms Corps and the SANDF. To comply with SANDF requirements, the automobile is currently undergoing modifications, integration, and testing. The production of the Badger started in early 2015, and by 2022, it'll have entirely replaced Ratel IFVs, also known as Honey Badgers. The all-welded steel-armored hull of the Badger protects the crew from small weapons fire and shell splinters. The car has LMT flat-door technology, which the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research has certified CSIR. 7. SWAT teams. The war on drugs and later in the wake of September 11th both boosted the number of employment of SWAT teams in the 1980s and 1990s attacks, even though they were first developed in the 1960s to deal with riot control or violent confrontations with criminals. By 2005, SWAT teams were used 50,000 times annually in the US, approximately 80% of which were to execute search warrants, most frequently for discovering illegal drugs. By 2015, it was happening around 80,000 times annually. In addition to being prepared to respond to hostage crisis, crowd control, and other scenarios outside the purview of regular law enforcement, SWAT teams are increasingly armed with military-style equipment. Submachine guns, assault rifles, sniper rifles, riot guns, riot control agents, smoke grenades, and stun grenades are among the automatic and specialized weapons frequently carried by SWAT troops. Additionally, for stealthily locating hostages or hostage takers inside confined locations, they may employ specialized equipment such as heavy body armor, ballistic shields, access tools, armored vehicles, thermal and night vision systems, and motion detectors. 8. Mk7 Tetrarch Light. The Tetrarch, often referred to as the light tank Mk7 or A-17, was a British light tank built by Vickers Armstrongs in the late 1930s and employed in the Second World War. The Tetrarch was the most recent in the company's line of light tanks made for the British Army. Adding the more powerful 2-pounder cannon enhanced the light tank Mk Vic its forerunner. The War Office placed an initial order for 70 tanks, which rose to 220. Only 100 to 177 of the tanks were manufactured because several circumstances caused the production to be delayed. The operational use of the Tetrarch exposed several design flaws. Because of its small size, the Tetrarch could only carry a maximum of 3 crew members, a hull driver, gunner, and commander in the turret. Combat lags resulted from the gunner or commander's additional responsibilities of serving as the 2-pounder's loader. According to a report on the tank prepared in January 1941, commanding a troop of Tetrarchs in action would be nearly impossible because the commander had to fight and operate the tank simultaneously. So with that, we come to the end of the video. Now that we have seen some of the mini military vehicles used, comment below your favorite and the one you think is the best. See you all in the next video. Bye!